WikiLeaks has just leaked a chapter of the secret international trade deal, Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPP. President Obama has long championed the TPP as a major part of its global economic policy platform, but the New York Times has analyzed the WikiLeaks document and concluded that if signed into law, the TPP would enable foreign companies to sue the U.S. government if their businesses were hurt. According to the Times, quote, under the accords still under negotiation but nearing completion, companies and investors would be empowered to challenge regulations, rules, government actions, and court rulings, federal, state, or local, before tribunals organized under the World Bank or the United Nations. The leaked chapter is an indication of the ongoing push from major multinational corporations that seek to expand their power at the expense of ordinary people and governments. Part of that expansion is a new merger announced this week of two major food companies, Heinz and Kraft Foods. The new mega company will become the fifth largest food company in the world. My guest is Patrick Woodall, Research Director and Senior Policy Advocate for Food and Water Watch, a public policy analyst, researcher, and advocate on economic justice issues in Washington, and co-author of a book on the World Trade Organization. Welcome to Uprising, Patrick.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us. Well, first, let's turn to the TPP and this new chapter on investment that was leaked to WikiLeaks. The New York Times described these extremely broad powers that this chapter outlines. But what is an example of what could happen if this version of the TPP is realized and becomes law? What are the sorts of worst-case scenarios we could see in the U.S. in the future?
Well, the new chapter confirms pretty much our worst fears about the negotiations. It does empower foreign companies to challenge any law that they believe indirectly expropriates their profits. And that means really what they call a reasonable investment expectation. So that could be any kind of very common sense public health, environment, or consumer protection that actually infringed on future earnings. So if you were a polluting company and a law was passed to curtail that pollution, that would infringe on your investment expectations. And the company would be empowered in new powerful ways to bring a challenge against that state or local or federal government for damages. They could sue for money damages to get the government to change its law to eliminate the protection or to pay out a giant sum of money. And so far, under NAFTA and other trade deals the U.S. has signed, trade tribunals have already imposed almost $4 billion in penalties for these kinds of investor-to-state disputes, which are a huge threat to democracy and a threat to kind of the growing movement on empowering people to really take control of their own lives.